I was I remember years ago, I was about to go on stage in Tasmania. I think I might have told you the story. And the stage manager said, "Do you want to hear a scary story?"
I haven't heard this story.
I went, "What?" He goes, "Do you want to hear a scary story?" I went,
Where's he from? Is that what Tasmanians speak like?
No, but I don't want to say where he's from because then I can't be deemed inappropriate.
Yeah.
But he was probably
European by the sound of it.
Yeah. I go, yeah. I'm about to step on stage.
I love a scary story.
So he goes, a tsunami is heading for Indonesia. And I go, what? A tsunami?
I thought it was from that you said a salami. A salami, that's not, that's not.
Because they're illegal. You can't take any sort of meat into Bali or into Australia.
Well, it's pork also, and they're Muslims in Indonesia.
I mean, so that is a scary story that someone tried to...
A tsunami. Was this a tsunami about 20 years ago? Long time ago.
Well, maybe it was the one after that, because there was one big one, and then there was another one that wasn't.
But that's not a scary story. That's just like a news update.
Yeah, well, was for me, because Selena was my partner was in Bali.
Oh no! Well, that is scary.
So I might go. I have to step on stage and then
be funny
with going. Oh my God!
You're not doing Shakespeare where you can tap into your fear and anxiety. No. You're trying to be funny.
I'm trying to be funny, and it wasn't a great room, and it wasn't a great audience, and it wasn't a great night. And then cut a long story short, I got off stage. There was one heading, but she headed for higher land. She was very smart because she had heard as well, but she went to higher land over on
Ubud.
No, not Ubud. The other. Whatever the other island is. I can't remember. Yeah. Got to high land and it was fine. And it didn't come anyway, so it was fine because it depends on what side of the island it comes. But they were under threat.
Jeez.
But they didn't want to say anything because they, were concerned about causing riot. Anyway, so now I'm going to say to you, using that phrase.
Yeah.
It's a long story, isn't it? Do you want to hear a scary story?
Of course, I love scary stories.
Okay, I think this is going to upset you.
No.
You know how I like to long-distance swim, and I do it at the same place every time.
Yeah.
Yep. Do you also know that I don't have Facebook?
Yeah.
So therefore, there are things you hear on the news, and there are things that you hear on Facebook, and you get more local news on Facebook.
I'm in the local, Clifton Hill Facebook group.
Oh, it must be fascinating.
Good karma.
What do you get? Roadworks on
why the helicopter's over my house?
Yeah.
I found a set of keys in the park.
Yeah,
it's good though. You can give away stuff. I give away stuff.
I am not on Facebook. I'm glad I'm not.
So you didn't get the local knowledge though. Sewerage outlet.
No, but what I did hear is a friend of mine who is on Facebook because you send me stuff on Facebook, and he sends me
Facebook group. You can join it.
Yeah,
get involved.
And he sent me this clip. He goes, "I think you need to watch this." It's two girls. And I could send you the link. It's a fascinating thing. They've just got out of the water where I swim every time I go down there. I swim out to sea, way out to sea. They had just been in the water. It was 50 metres off the beach with a white pointer.
Wow.
And they were almost joking about it. Going, you weren't going to tell me. I was so going to tell you.
Could you see the shark in the video?
They were told by someone, not in the video, no, because they're in the car park getting changed.
Right, okay. What sort of video is this? Anyway, go on.
So, that spooked us.
Yeah.
Because a white pointer.
Do you get many white pointers down there?
Well, no, I've never.
West coast of Victoria, I was always told it's too cold for sharks down there.
It's not.
It's not, no.
I mean, South Australia's big on the white pointers, and West Australia's big on the white pointers. It depends what they're chasing. Sometimes they're chasing the whale, sometimes. But anyway, apparently there had been a dead seal on the beach there somewhere, so it was sniffing around. It had come because we swim out to the point, right?
Mm.
If you see one out there, you go, well, no, okay, that's fair. But this had come in right into the shallows.
That's scary, yeah.
Right into the shallows near the boat ramp, which is where it's a family beach.
Yeah.
I said, because it was Anglesey, Anglesey had turned into Amity. What's that from?
Jaws.
Yeah.
That's a town in Jaws. Who's going to be the sheriff?
So, that was that. So, when I go down the next week, tentatively go for a swim, because, you're thinking, I want to go in with two legs. You want to make sure.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it'd be anything more horrific than
the shark attack.
Even the fact that you see it when you're in the water.
Yeah, but they're quick, though. They'd be quick, wouldn't they? They're real quick.
So you wouldn't know then. Is that what you're saying?
I reckon you'd see it coming, and then you'd just...
Because they say it's like being hit by a freight train.
Oh, it'd be
It hits
awful.
you so awful. So I then I go for a surf. So we got our mojo back. We're okay.
Yeah.
I go back home. 2 days later, another one.
Must be the same one.
No, I think it's a different one.
Different one.
Because it was a different seal. My phone keeps on
Your
dinging.
phone is dinging. I think you've got something going on there.
Yeah.
Shark alert.
But do you want me to put a link onto the... Because
Yeah.
the girls doing the story is fantastic because they've just got out of the water. They're going, we just got chased by a white pointer. They make it into a song.
What?
Very confident attitude.
Yeah.
And quite scary. So anyway, and now there's another one. So anyway, if
Look
I
out.
don't turn up to the podcast...
Or just you've got one leg. Old Stumpy, here he comes. Or one arm. You got one arm. I can't drive there.
We shouldn't joke about it.
No, we shouldn't.
We shouldn't joke about it,
Shouldn't.
but you have to joke about it. Otherwise, you don't go back in the water. Because I know you swim. You were a swimmer, and you wear a wetsuit. You look like a seal.
I look like a seal, but I'm in real shallows, though. They're not going to come
This
for me,
was
are they?
50 metres off the edge.
Ooh.
It'd been-
You know, Greg Fleece did the joke about, getting your arm bitten off by a shark, and he goes, they can't have a go at you because they don't have arm. Hey, mate, they're trying to put their arm up like that. He used to do the joke where he's sort of puts his arm behind his back and pretend it's not there, and he pushes it up.
Wait, people have had you talk about
People that have been in a shark attack have had a go at him, But then some guy did, and the guy goes, "That's all right, mate. It's a car accident." So he didn't have an arm. It's a car accident. Anyway, play that music.
Welcome to Somehow Related Now. Please welcome your hosts Glenn Robbins and Dave O'Neill.
Here we are. Somehow related.
Somehow related to topics, and I'm in fear, but I'm going to continue out.
Yeah,
there.
you've got to keep going. What a way to go, too, though. I mean,
It wouldn't be quick.
he died doing what he loved. That's what we'd say about you at your funeral.
Would you? Yeah.
What, getting mauled by a shark? He didn't love that. No, but everything leading up to it, he loved.
Yeah, no, it was all, he loved the whole thing, and
Loved it.
He loved to get down there every weekend, and I do it, and so
We'll get a park bench named after you, looking out to the ocean.
well, that'd be good, and then you'd spread my ashes out there.
Yeah, we've talked about this circle of surfing people. Me on my boogie board. It's not embarrassing at all.
Yeah, you'd be flapping away. Wouldn't it be funny if you were attacked by a shark and if you were doing the ashes for someone? Wouldn't that be weird?
Yeah,
Just
that
when
would be
you
unusual.
when someone was attacked by a shark and then they were taken, and then you go, oh my god, we're all here. A couple of people missing.
Yes, they've got love ashes. Sharks. Shall we go to topics? We got two topics. Got to work out how they're related.
Please.
What are they, Sam?
Gossip and childbirth.
What?
Oh, wow. I love a bit of gossip. But...
Are you a gossip? I reckon.
Oh, yeah. No, Husey rings the goes, what's the gossip?
I reckon
What's
you
the gossip?
are one of I have go-to people in my life. I reckon you are the one that gives me the inside story on things.
Yeah, but I don't. Like, Husey asks me, what's the gossip?
Yeah,
And then-
I do too.
Then I say, what's going on? He goes, not much. And then you go, what have you been doing? And then he goes, I did this pilot the other day. I'm like, well, what was that about? You know what I mean? Like, he's in a higher echelon than I am.
But there's gossip, there's doing things, and there's what's happened. Gossip is more like, here's something you don't know. Here's something that other people don't know. Do you know that the couple up at number 17, do you realise that he's going back in jail? Really? Yes, because apparently they've been selling drugs from their house at the back.
My wife calls me a gossip. So she goes, I'm going to tell you something. I'm not going to tell you.
So are you
I'm not gonna
someone
tell
I
you.
shouldn't tell things to?
No, if you tell me not to tell anyone. I've kept your secrets before. I've kept that big one about you and...
The rat. It was a rash. It was not...
I was going to say the one about you in the public toilet, but I kept that one.
Look, again, one time you do a funny dance in a toilet, people think you're trying
You're
to
soliciting. No, you've told me before. You can't tell anyone about you doing... I can't remember what it was.
See,
something.
you put it in the vault. That's what you say. You put it in the vault.
Yeah,
Because
you can't.
I know who I tell things to. So if they get out, I go, well...
Was only one of
well,
three people.
Yeah, yeah. And of course, at home, if you say stuff at home, you know that's safe there pretty well.
Yeah.
Absolutely at home.
Yeah.
Then I will tell you some stuff off air, and I would also... Oh, by the way, have you seen
What's that?
my rash?
I don't want to see your rash.
Yeah. And I would probably tell one other... Because I hear things. I know that what
hear
the lowdown
things.
is. I hear things. I do things.
Yeah.
And they are ripe for gossip. But you go, I mean, I've had famous friends of mine do things and I go, oh, God, that's a really good story, but I can never, ever tell it.
Yeah, I know. I know that's hurtful when that happens, but you can't.
But do you, when you hear someone being gossipy, does it make you feel good? Or do you feel bad for knowing it because they didn't want you to know it?
Oh, right. Or people are talking about you. How do you feel about when people are talking about you and you hear gossip about yourself?
Well, I don't like it. But, you know, it comes back to being a control freak, really, because you want to be able to control what people do or don't know about you.
Well,
And being with you, I've got a little bit better with that because I used to be, don't tell anybody we're doing that, and you go, oh, whatever.
Who cares? As Jamone used to say, what are we in World War II? Keeping, like, when you do a TV show and you cannot tell anyone. And sometimes they make you sign a form where you can't tell anyone what you're doing.
It's called a
non-disclosure.
Yeah, where you sign. I will never talk about. Well, and there's talking and there's talking. There's talking to your friends, and then there's talking to the media.
Oh yeah, don't do that.
I mean, you could destroy my career. In 30 seconds.
Ring up Daily Mail.
With the things I have done that are inappropriate.
I've had people ring up and ask me for stuff. I'm just like, nah, I'm not. Nah.
No, when something horrible happens to people, you get the media asking you, do you want to talk about it? You go, no, my relationship with them is private, and what they did is, I
didn't even know them that well. When Belinda Emmett passed away, she was in the movie The Nugget with me, and I knew her from that, but I didn't really know her that well at all. She's a lovely person. Harold sung me up. Do you want to comment about? I'm like, no, I didn't really know her. I said, I tell you what, if Hughesy dies, call me. That's what I said to the journalist.
Could shut you up. Here's another story.
He's a great guy. If you die, ring me up. I'll give them a comment on you.
Yeah, of course you would. I think that would be what. Yeah, I would be happy for you to do that.
The fact that he died from syphilis is no surprise. That's what I'll say. He had a secret life.
There is no doubt there's two worlds. There's the world that now, unfortunately, with social media, that's when it gets toxic and it gets unfortunate, and people say things that shouldn't be said because they can quite easily, and they are one click away.
You know what annoys me is when people get axed from a TV show, comedians do this, and then they just go on this, there's no room for comedy anymore on TV and satire. Like, mate, you had 10 years of it. Doing a show,
right.
When people, then they just lash out in the media, and then they slag other people off on other shows. But are you a fan of? Okay, so if we're ever in this, I remember when Patrick Bramwell and his wife in that funny show, Colin from Accounts.
Yeah, very good show.
Great show, love it. They got up and they said at the Lokies or one of those awards,
yeah.
Let's firstly thank the people who rejected this show. You know who you are.
Yeah.
Are you a fan of that or not? I quite like that. I reckon that's funny.
That's it, but that's not gossip.
That's not gossip.
No, but it's an opportunity.
Would you do that? You probably wouldn't do that.
I don't think I would.
I reckon I would.
Move forward. Don't look back,
true.
and don't indulge in the back.
Those people sitting there from whatever networks or whatever that reject, they know they rejected you, and they know.
Yeah, and
they were wrong to do that.
But handle it with grace, I reckon. If some people rejected you, then you go, your loss, and I'm going to give you, because it's telling them that
they thought about it a lot.
Yeah, and that their reaction had a big effect on you, which gives them power. Don't give them the power that you even bother. Because you know what? When you rejected me, I didn't even care.
Oh, that's good. I like that.
I didn't even care because I knew I was going to go on to make a great. But if you go back, you're going, you had power over me.
God, I was just about to slag off the ABC for turning on this podcast. I'm not going to do it now.
Well, we did talk about that one time.
Did we?
We did. I think we did talk about it.
Anyway.
Did they reject this? They did. No, we rejected them in the end.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, because we won't go into the details. Are there boundaries?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's...
Of course there are boundaries.
When you talk about...
Well, I think
show business stuff, TV shows, people getting fired. When you hear a TV show's getting up, you go, well, who's working on that?
Yeah.
Like, when Pang shows, so well, who's he doing that with? And then, you hear Dave Thornton's doing it, and then I ask him, and he goes, I'm only doing 1 week. So who's doing it the next week? You go, I don't know. You know what I mean? So you hear that kind of stuff. I reckon that's okay. But when it comes to people's personal life, children, partners, I don't like that kind of stuff.
Because when you drop something, which is you go blah, and then you go, I didn't know that. You didn't know that. Everybody knows that. Because I'm usually one of these people that
Oh,
last.
you're last to know, yeah.
Yeah, I'm one of the people
Yeah.
that I'm on Facebook. For a
Well, I'm
start.
often telling stuff and you go, does everyone know that? I go, I read that in the Herald Sun. I read stuff in the paper that you don't know about.
I am out of touch.
So I think anything in the paper, fine.
Yeah, so
Unless I don't like that stuff that's really grubby, you know what I mean? Like they get stuck into, with politicians, they get stuck into Dutton's kid or Albo's kid. Oh, he got led into the Aquinas Club. Who cares?
exactly.
Dutton's kid. Dutton's got him on the campaign trail, and he's like, oh, I don't know. The kid's saying, I don't know if I'll be able to afford a house. Well, your dad owns about 30. You know what I mean? Like, but anyway, bringing the kids in. Then again, he's putting the kid on the stage, isn't he? So you're like,
He is
and the kid's
leveraging.
like an adult.
Yeah.
So you go,
So therefore it is,
know.
and it's clickbait. Therefore, if you
Yeah.
get, anything that you have these days, if I can put up a name and put up something outrageous, you go, oh, I hear that so and so's split up with so and so, and you go, I was only talking to them the other day. Then you realise that they're split up with their manager. That says, split for famous couple, and then you go, oh, no, he split up with his he split up with his his doctor or whatever.
Well, there was. My mum used to cut out things out of the Herald Sun and present it to me. Like, when I turned up once and she said, oh, New Idea was a big one too. Sam Pang had a birthday and you weren't invited. That's what she said to me. And I said, well, what? How do you know this? And there was anyway, he had a party and he was paparazzi'd, at this party. And the other one she cut out was Shane Jacobson parted with his manager, and then the manager released all his fees and what he got paid to do gigs.
Oh, really?
And they were listed in the Herald Sun, and Mum said, you don't get money like this, and it gives me the article. I'm like, he's done all right. But, so that kind of thing is, I think that's awful. To be revealed to people.
There comes a point where sometimes people say, do you know about that? I go, you know what? I don't want to know.
Yeah, I've said that too. I don't want to know.
I don't want to know because it sounds to me like it's very tragic and it's very sad, and I feel as though I don't want to judge that person for that.
But showbiz stuff, I reckon, fine. Like who's working on what show or whatever, that's fine. But if you're talking about like big kids and partners,
yeah, and unfortunate things. Didn't you know that bloody they've like this, that, or it's awful. And to think that there is people who are not in any way compassionate. They are purely going, we know something that other people don't know, and I'm telling you first, so you're in on a secret. But it was a whole industry years there's a whole thing about that woman in Hollywood who was a gossip columnist.
Oh yeah,
who could make or break people purely, and people had to wine and dine her so she wouldn't say bad things about it. But if you happen to be seeing someone else behind the scenes, she would leak that in her column. Everyone would read it. All of a sudden you're a bad guy. All of a sudden you're having an affair behind the. All of a sudden your career's and that still happens now. It's
not good.
But I was just trying to think who were the ones that in our world? It was John Michael Housen.
Oh, yes. And
hello,
Peter Ford.
girls. Hello, fellas.
Hello.
Hello,
And Peter Ford was a...
Yeah.
People actually call themselves gossip columnists.
Yeah. Molly Meldrum, he kind of was.
Yeah.
He would go, here's the humdrum. Here's what's really
Here's the
happening.
latest.
Here's what I've heard about.
Hello, John Michael Housen.
Hello, girls. Hello, fellas. Here's what more. You've heard some stories about George Clooney. Apparently, he has been seeing a so-and-so from a so-and-so. Hello, John Michael, if you're still listening.
If he's still alive?
I think he is.
Is he?
He was on 3AW until a little while ago, and I hope he's doing okay. If I've got it wrong, I apologise.
Hello.
It is kind of like, because I maintain that people participate in social media in their own way.
That's like gossip, though.
Isn't it?
I reckon it is.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. If you participate in Facebook or Instagram, you're running your own little mini newspaper. So sometimes you come across something.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a major headline. Or I've got a picture of Dave O'Neill without any pants on, standing, and I'm going to put it on my Instagram. Look how I was hanging. So you've got this obligation to fill it up with stuff.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's often at the expense of people. And if you hang around with people famous, you have an obligation to not participate in anything like that because, did you hear about, you told me a story about when you had that party here that one comedian was found asleep on the floor afterwards in this room.
Yes.
We won't say who it was, but he stayed all day. And the managers had to come in and wake him up. But I would never say who that was.
No, and I said...
But it would make a great story on this show.
I said, don't spread that photo around. He took a photo of him
I did.
asleep.
So you shouldn't do that.
I know. I didn't send the photo to anyone because I'm like,
Because
no,
if it's
no.
worth taking a photograph of, it's worth.
Yeah.
And that's what I say. If you want to take a photograph of that, therefore it is something. So
It's Daily Mail material.
Daily
that's for
Mail
sure.
material.
No,
I mean,
no.
it's just there is a certain, I don't know, there's a certain gene or a certain biological response we have to gossip, and I do think it's slightly Schadenfreude.
Yeah.
Meaning
It'll come
you
back
go,
to bite you. Yeah.
It's celebrating in other people's failure and going, I'm glad it's them, not me. What's that old joke? I didn't hear about your series. I didn't hear about your new book signing. I didn't hear about your new radio show. But I died
No, I heard about you dying in front of 10 people in Ballarat the other night.
Yeah. So people really do.
love it.
They do love it. And there's a sense, I know something you don't know. But it's got with this social media, it's got like, there's nothing left.
Yeah.
So people have to make it up. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway.
Yeah, it's not good.
It's not good.
Gossip.
But what is what's other words for gossip, like palaver, scuttlebutt, small talk?
Well, what's that? The rumour file on 3AW.
Well,
that's just gossip. And they're often facts, but it is like gossip.
Yep.
Like, we heard that blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, people, we're knowing something before other people are knowing it. So it's
people-
a delicious meal to eat psychologically.
You often see it in those British shows, like, those old British shows set in, the olden times. There's always a gossip merchant.
Yeah.
Have you heard about Mr. Darcy?
And often you will have the street gossip. Don't tell whatever's happening at your house to her, because she will tell everyone. Because then you see someone else and you go, how did you know we were having our back deck rebuilt? Oh, so-and-so told me. She knows all about it.
Well, gossip in the AFL world is huge.
Yeah.
It's like currency.
Yeah.
Have you heard what player did this and that? Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Someone to fly back to Bali because they assaulted someone. Oh, my God.
As soon as you hear the word apparently, you go, here we go.
Yeah, or
Here
a friend
we
close to
go.
the source. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
Normally.
Yeah.
Well, should we talk about childbirth?
Oh,
God. Childbirth.
Well,
Yeah.
I've not had my own kids.
No.
I don't think.
Every time you drive past the orphanage, they all wave. It's a great joke. I love it. Love it.
Hi, Dad. Hi, Dad.
Daddy, stop driving.
So you've had...
Well, my wife had 3. I was never one of those
Well,
people,
yeah, but
people
you-
that said that we were pregnant. No, that annoys me when men say that. We're pregnant. You're not pregnant, mate. Your wife is.
Yeah.
It's annoying. And the woman has all the burden, really. Like,
Yeah, look, but having said that, you did a good job.
I was there.
Yeah, whereas I don't know whether the generations of my father's generation, I don't think they were.
No, Dad told me when Trevor was born, he was in the Air Force, and the sergeant called him into his office and said, Kevin, you've had a son called Trevor. Dismissed. He wasn't even in the hospital.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. And when we were
Carry
born
on.
as twins, Dad was working part-time fixing TVs, and someone rang the TV place and said, you've got to come to the hospital, like your Joyce is giving birth. Even worse, my Nana Hazel, who lived in Richmond, when her waters broke, she caught the tram up Bridge Road to the hospital. Imagine.
After the waters had broke?
Yep. She caught the tram up Bridge Road. Imagine that.
God, that's it.
The women of those days, Glenn. Oh, jeez.
Did you have any? Was yours pretty straightforward? The labour came on, and then you got in the car, and everything was okay.
She was very determined to have a drug-free birth. As I said to the doctor, I'll have everything. She doesn't want anything. Give us the gas. Give us
Hand it over.
Hand it over. Give me an epidural. You go to these birthing classes at the hospital, right?
Did you pass?
Yeah.
Did you give you a score out of 10?
We went to so many birthing classes. And then she wanted to go to a natural birthing class. And I still remember it. We got there at 10, and the woman gets to about 1 and goes, I'm going to have a quick break. It's not lunch. And Kira's like, everyone's pregnant and starving. So we ran across the road and got something to eat. It was just like ridiculous. And there's a lot of talk about birthing plans and all this, but when it actually happens, everything goes to shit, basically.
Oh, really?
Oh, play the music. You got to bring the right music. You got to light the candles and all that.
It doesn't matter.
But it's just so brutal when it actually happens. It's not. What
were you able to do?
Not much as a man. Just
So
be there,
on your phone?
support. Yeah, on my phone. I tell you, well, when we had Barney, our last one, I fell asleep and the midwife kept kicking me to wake me up.
You're so relaxed.
I've seen this before. Is it a repeat? And I remember the first one was Kieran's mum turned up Betty, may she rest in peace, and she came in and was talking to Kieran and like, oh, this is amazing, it's amazing. And Kieran's like, get Mum out of here. So, because they've got to concentrate on giving birth.
Did she was a little bit upset?
Yeah, Kieran was.
Yeah.
Betty wasn't. So Betty went and talked to the doctor out in the waiting room or whatever. And then, what happened to the second one? The thing is, you don't know when to get to the hospital. Do you get there too early, too late? You know what I mean?
But she was at home and she was having contractions.
Yeah. And then
they were coming at a certain period.
Yeah, then you ring up the doctor and they say, come in. And then Kieran's like, I don't want to go in peak hour traffic. So we had to wait for a few hours and we went in.
Well, a friend of mine got caught in peak hour traffic and they had twins on the back seat.
Yeah, you don't want that.
Yeah.
Oh, Wilbur Wilde. Didn't it happen to Wilbur Wilde? He's told the story on TV. Yeah.
So we can't talk about that.
Yeah, so he's told on TV, in his station wagon.
Or was it twins in the back seat or was it... No, it was his first...
No,
it wasn't twins, I don't think. It was.
I just remember him on a show I worked on and he bought his car in the studio and they were talking through it and stuff.
But he made some very funny jokes about the back seat being... Anyway, let's not talk about that because we all know what happens.
Well, these birthing classes are funny, and this is a terrible thing to say, but when some of the people walking, the pregnant people, you look at them and you go to your wife goes, how did she get pregnant? And then the husband walks in, you go, oh, right, I get it. Because every lid has a pot. Because honestly, you look at some people, you go, who are the... But when you see them together, it makes sense. They're probably looking at us thinking the same thing, don't worry. So it was so funny though because some men in birthing classes react differently. There was one bloke who refused to sit down. He just stood the whole time like he was going to go at any minute. That guy. Because you got to lie on the floor and just grasp your partner from behind and hold her. Let's pretend she's giving birth. And this guy just he just stood there with his arms
passive aggressive. Didn't want to be involved.
I don't think he wanted to be involved. But anyway, it's an amazing thing if you actually see childbirth because I don't think enough people talk about it.
So from the classes, everything. I remember...
Not really. What it is, it's the women's world. And you understand why some religions just have the women present. Some cultures just have women present during the birth. Men are not invited in because it really is... We had good midwives and stuff that would get on the same zone as Kieran, whereas I couldn't do that. I really think birth is a women's thing, I reckon.
Well, I was at uni at Melbourne State College studying drama.
Yes.
And I had to do an elective. And I ended up doing, I don't know what it was called, but ended up being childbirth.
Oh, like midwifery probably, yeah.
Yeah, and I studied it for a term.
That's funny.
And I watched all the video. And look, it was really good because, I've got to be honest, I didn't know much about it. I mean, you do, but you don't really.
Pretty full on.
It's very full on.
Especially if you're going on the secret garden end.
Well, yeah. Well, this
watching the baby.
The videos we watched weren't mucking around.
Oh, when you see the baby comes out.
Yeah.
One of the most disturbing things is when you go along to the midwife's office or the birthing centre or whatever the hospital. People sometimes have their photo albums left on the coffee table there. The birth of Jemima, and you're going, oh, this is interesting. Oh, Jesus Christ! There's photos of everything in there. The baby coming out, and they've left it for the public to see. They want to show everyone, show the world about it. You just realise, but people that give birth are incredible. When you look at everyone walking around, they're all someone gave birth to that person. You know what I mean?
And what was your reaction? What you expected when you had your first one? Did you feel a flush of love?
Yes.
What did you feel? Fear? Did you? I mean, there was
bit
fear.
Of both.
There's
nothing scarier than driving your baby home from the hospital.
That's what I've heard.
Because you drive really slow. Don't.
No, watch out.
Watch out. And then with the first child, it's like, are they just checking they're still asleep? Are they still asleep?
Yeah.
They still sleep? Because you're really worried about cot death,
which
doesn't happen as much these days because of changes and stuff they made with cots and that. SIDS. It doesn't happen as much. It still does happen, but not as much. And don't put the baby in the bed. You're going to roll on it, which is bullshit. You're not, unless you're really drunk or really fat.
Yeah, billions of people have before us.
Yeah, and that's what I say in the third world. How do you reckon they're sleeping? Do you reckon the like the Inuits are got cots and stuff?
But I totally understand.
But if you're fat and pissed, don't get into bed.
Well, you could roll. Awful things could happen.
Well, they have happened, but you got to be pretty fat and pissed and lying on a couch, which I was at some stages. But also, you make the point, you don't roll over onto the cat, do you, when the cat's on your bed or the dog? So you're not going to do it with a kid. But we used to have the kids in the bed. Oh, God. Anyway, no, childbirth's an amazing thing. When you see it, I had this theory. Kieran wasn't interested in this. I'll tell you. in the modern world, we get a lot of anesthetics. We get, like when you go to the dentist, it's all fine. Whereas, say, 200 years ago, there was a lot of pain in life, wasn't there?
Yeah.
And childbirth was just another thing that people did.
Yep.
Now it's probably the most primitive thing that people do, I reckon, childbirth.
Yep, absolutely.
As opposed to like 200 years ago, if you had surgery, there was no anesthetic.
Yep.
You had teeth pulled out of your head.
It was all
You went to war and got shot in the head or whatever.
It was pain. It was real.
So childbirth is pretty brutal when you see it, though. It's like, oh my God. But when the baby comes out, you do feel an immense sort of love.
When you did your classes, were there things like, what is there's descent, there's rotation, there's the
I
whole
don't
thing.
remember any of that.
Oh, really?
Nah, they just talk about.
What about the? I don't. Because it's two old guys talking about childbirth.
Yeah.
I know you listen to a podcast and you're going,
Yeah.
who wants to talk about childbirth?
Well, this is the reason why you rarely see a male midwife, because they're all mainly women that are very good at it, and they tune into the female mind. I do stand up. I'll do it at the end. I do stand up about if men gave birth, because if men gave birth, it would be a completely different story.
Okay, well, let's find out later on.
We'll find out later.
I hope it's not too harsh.
There's so much at birth, and then the placenta. The placenta's full on. The placenta comes out, and they're like, "Do you want to keep it?" I'm like, "What? We keep it? We kept it for ages."
What?
One of the kids.
What did the placenta look like?
Oh, it just looks like offal. It's
really?
offal.
Yeah. And what do they?
Well, some people eat it. They put it in the pasta. You know the lunch you just had? Guess what? No. Yeah, most people just dispose of it.
But has it really caught on in the world? Has it? Has it caught
but
on?
in the more hippie kind of world, they do.
There is still a lot of people eating the placenta.
I don't think a lot, but some. Now they store them and take it's like a cell thing they take out of it for the baby's future or something. It's some kind of thing about cancer or something like that. You can use it to fix up the.
Because it would be biologically speaking, it would be a fingerprint of the child's.
Yeah, that's right. I know what you mean. Yeah, exactly right. That's why they do it.
Let me ask you: did you participate in cutting of the cord?
Yes, but that's kind of like a fake thing, because they cut it. You cut it in the middle, but the doctor cuts it at both ends anyway. You know what I mean? So he's not. I cut it in the middle, and then he just cuts it where it attaches to the baby.
And I know this is awful.
So
how hard was it to cut?
Yeah, it was hard. It was like a phone cord. Like the old-fashioned phone cord. Oh, Jesus Christ! With the third one, I said, "Don't worry about it. You just do it. I don't want to do it. You do it, mate. You do it. You're getting paid."
So there'd be special shears for that as well.
Yeah. It's probably the same set. Oh.
I've never seen those at Bunnings. But anyway.
Well, I think we've talked enough about childbirth.
Well, I think we have, and I think...
And we are two old white men. We don't... I mean, I was there for 3.
But you have been through it. If there's anyone in the room that can speak about it, it's you. And I admire you for what you both did. And you're beautiful children. And,
are they?
Yeah.
No, they're all older now.
There's only 2 in jail. Where's the other one?
Remand. They're a family together.
Yeah.
Well, what thinking music should we have? Why don't we have a comedy skit?
Well, there's been a couple, isn't there? There's been a couple of famous ones, hasn't there, about childbirth? I did one on the Comedy Company. Do you want to know what it was?
Yeah, go on.
It was me and Siobhan Tugh saying that we're going to induce the birth. So we got down the other end and pulled out a rattle and started shaking a rattle for the baby to come out.
Not bad.
Not great.
These days you have an iPad, like.
There you go. There you go.
A bit of Bluey.
See, there you've updated it. That's a good joke.
What about a birth skit? Amy Schumer had a funny one. Makes a great point about birth, where people think it's going to be beautiful, and then they cut to the reality of what it actually
was it on
like.
Saturday Night Live?
Or something like that.
They shoot those so
well.
well.
Amy Schumer? Is it her or is it Amy Poehler?
No, it's Amy Schumer.
Amy Schumer.
Yeah, she's sitting in bed and the son comes in for her birthday or something.
Yeah.
Okay. And I remember...
what was birth like? What was birth like?
And then she goes,
right.
it was beautiful. Then she goes into... Yeah, I don't know, it's quite long. Let's hear at least some of it anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, that'd be great.
Good morning, honey. I'm sorry I didn't make you breakfast. But our son did. Dun, dun, dun.
Happy Mother's Day, Mommy.
I am so lucky to be your mommy. The day you were born was the best day of my life.
What was it like?
The day you were born, it was amazing.
Okay, only a few more centimeters and you'll be ready, okay?
Oh, God, how much bigger can the hole get?
Just breathe.
love you, Mommy.
Oh, I love you too, honey.
Mommy,
Yeah?
I had an accident last night.
Oh, well, I'm sure Daddy cleaned it up.
No, I wanted you to clean it.
All right, that's very
I
funny.
like Amy Schumer. I was not a fan.
She's funny.
I watched one of her latest films recently, and I think she's got
Trainwreck. Not Trainwreck.
No, it was another one. I
Okay.
forget. I can't
Trainwreck's
remember.
funny.
Yeah, really enjoyed. Okay, so
I like Amy Poehler. She's the other Amy.
so now
What is your guess? Gossip and childbirth.
I reckon it's a word that would, because if a woman is having a baby, other women want to know. So there must be a word that describes passing the word on the woman who's having the baby to other people. So it's a healthy functioning of a community that come together for the childbirth. Whereas nowadays, basically, make sure we all talk about it so we know that it's all coming. So that's what I think it is anyway. And then gossip caught on, and not only are they talking about childbirth, but now they talk about everything. I don't know. That's a pretty bad answer. What do you think it is?
Childbirth and gossip. I don't know. Is that an early gossip?
Do you think
is
it's
that an
Latin
early-
or something?
Yeah,
Gossip?
maybe it's for like midwife. Gossip is kind of a Greek or Roman. We always go back to the Romans term for midwife. Maybe that's a.
Right. But how does it then translate into people just talking too much?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, what is the answer, Sam?
In early modern England, the word gossip referred to companions in childbirth, not limited to the midwife. Giving birth used to be a social event for which a pregnant woman's female relatives and neighbours would gather.
Oh, in a roundabout way, I was right.
You're
there.
sort of right.
Yeah.
You have been listening to Somehow Related with Glenn Robbins and Dave O'Neill.
In other words, it's positive gossip.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
Positive
It
talk.
wasn't derogatory, but now it's turned into derogatory. Okay, my stand-up on if men gave birth, it'd be so different. Right? If men gave birth,
Yep.
there'd be statues around the park of blokes that had more than 4 kids, and we'd all walk around and go, "That's Barry. He had 4 kids vaginally. He's a legend." That's Stan. He had 6. He never came back to work. We miss him. We miss Stan. And there'd be blokes comparing birthing stories at the bar. Like, I'd be going to you, Glenn. You listen to me, mate. Yeah, no. My 3rd one, yeah. But I've been there labouring for like 8 hours, and the doctor walks in. He goes, "You're only 5 centimetres dilated." I said, "Bullshit." And he goes, "We have to get the anaesthetist in here." I said, "I'm having a drug-free birth, all right? I can have a bong later with the kid, but not now, mate." I said to the missus, "Put on the shower, put on the yenya, light those candles. Here we go." So I'm in the shower. I'm just squatting there, sail away, Enya's playing. All of a sudden, I give it one last push. The baby shoots out, bounces on the floor, hits the doctor on the head, and I mark it. Just like Buddy Franklin. We called him Buddy. Beautiful story.
You should bring. That's a very good routine.
I should bring it back. I'll bring it back.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.